What is going on, kids? Can everybody hear me in my radio voice? Welcome to a late night, unplanned, not looking like I'm going to get any sleep for a while, not wanting to keep anybody up. Chef Rocky, what is up, brother? Steven Ock, what is up? Channel member, Linda Milton, channel member, Chef Rocky, hang around, brother. We will jump you up here in a bit. I'm going to run through and say, hey, Craig Vincent's been in here for a bit, and Neil McKenzie, they were chatting. I was trying to deal with I wouldn't call it a technical difficulty. I would just call it kind of a pain in the ass. I've got like I guess you'd call it a juvenile possum. It's kind of I've kind of encouraged it by putting cat food and stuff out there. Y'all might have seen it in some Friday night flicks. But it was up there eating, drinking water, and Tippy was just wailing at the bottom of the stairs. And all she had to do was walk by it because she's done it like 20 times. And so I had to go run the possum off just by walking down and pick up Tippy. So it was kind of like I would have been here quicker. But I was just kind of waiting for, I hate to do an impromptu live. I can do them at 1 o'clock because I'm up till 5 o'clock because that's when I record videos. I mean, I just do my stuff during the night while I haven't been working. But it's just been kind of interesting. And then tonight I noticed that Rochambeau, does he always go for just an hour? Because I know Backpack B goes some, and I did not want to jump into too much of his time. Paul Mills, my brother, Paul Mills, might recognize this. I'm not calling anybody out. But that was my unboxing from this afternoon. It was actually unboxed yesterday. A knife I would have never really sought out. I mean, it always was cool. I think I handled it at 2022 when they were just talking about making it. But guys, the precision and for my hand, which is kind of people say it's a large hand, but I've got skinnier fingers. I don't have sausage fingers. It is just perfect. I love it, buddy. I hope you're enjoying the one you got, my friend. But yeah, Paul's been my kind of one of my trading buddies. He we put together a trade for his Protec SMG before I picked up, or Scotch and Things helped me pick up this guy, which I still love the Protec SMG because it's an automatic. This one's a little lighter. And this is a knife, going back, and then I'll quit preaching and I'll say hi again. But every time I open a knife, including this Microtech that's in my pocket, sometimes the biggest surprises are set by low or no expectations. For example, I swore I would never get into fixed blades. I thought slip joints were GHEY. I used to give Lefty, even though he's only kind of into one brand, but I like that brand, grief because I could not understand why anyone would carry a slip joint. Now I carry a slip joint. Now I fell down the slip joint rabbit hole for more than I'm proud to say, but I got out of it. I don't shop for slip joints anymore because I feel like I've got my fill. I've got a good cross section of budget, of American, of a couple of Jack Wolves. But the knives that I've picked up lately, because I've kind of been, and it's a blessing that I've been kind of in the trade world where I'm trading with friends, trying out different stuff. We can always, if something, it's just good to trade with friends, try different stuff out. And it's made me appreciate my collection when I was constantly having things come in and I was doing unboxings, which I've got 2 super cool unboxings coming up because I've got a buddy. Shameless plug. Go follow that cat on Instagram. I'm gonna pull it up in a second, and I'm gonna beg y'all to go follow him because he is my local buddy. He's gone to every Blade show except this past Blade show because one of his bands, he plays in a lot of bands. He's a percussionist. They're called the Beastie Boys. So they're a bunch of middle-aged guys that cover Beastie Boys music very, very well. And they had 2 gigs over in Georgia. And the first gig, Friday night, was in Cummings, Georgia. It was in an auditorium. It was a civic auditorium that sat 12,000 people, and it was absolutely freaking packed. And right before they got on stage, they were told that because it was a civic event, they couldn't say any swear words. Guys, it was a Beastie Boys cover band. So they did slip out one F word, but they got paid because it was one of those things that was serious. And then they went to Augusta. So he's got a very interesting page. I would go follow him. He's let me borrow a couple of bangers, and he always does. But to review, to do unboxings on, I won't be cutting them out of cardboard, but I'll be opening them for the first time because I've got them sitting right here. I really don't want to show them, but I haven't opened them. Opened one of them. Take that back. Mind of Milton, what is up? Channel member Marisol, channel member, what is up, guys? This is an unannounced late night, and I hope you guys are proud of me in some way, and realize that I don't go portrait mode when I do these late night streams. I told you guys I would because it really does boost my viewership and it boosts ad revenue, but I'm not in it for that. We've kind of been in a conversation, and I'm going to bring it up in a very general way because I don't think it's anybody in here. As a matter of fact, I know it's not. My lives are unique, and I feel, because I never publish giveaways. Like this weekend, we're giving away to members the AM8 Nigaron Flicks, which is a great knife. And then I'm going to have a giveaway knife for subscribers, people in the chat. But you have to be somebody like Grizzly Bear Leather Crafting, somebody I've seen, right? If it's some random lurker who claims it, I'm going to kind of be more like Stevie, and I'll tell you why. Like I've always said, I give away knives out of my collection because if we were all sitting around a table at a knife meetup, I would love to gift some of y'all some of the knives I don't carry that are good knives instead of selling them on Blade Binge. Sure, I could sell them on Blade Binge, but there's not a lot of joy for me in that, right? So as I replace knives, and I'm not getting them from companies, with the exception of a few from Vosteed, they've been great. TKL sent me a couple knives. They were great. TRM sent me a knife that was great. But 99% of the knives that I give away are going to be from my collection. So I feel like I should be able to say, hey, I don't really recognize you, because I always say, you're welcome to be new here and just engage with some people in the chat. Because I can remember it took me a long time to speak up in Grateful Panic's chat, and it had nothing to do with giveaways, but I just started to feel the vibe. So I'm not trying to attract live viewership by publishing giveaways. And this all started because one of our majorly dedicated community members, who'll go unnamed because it was a group chat that went to creators, had been looking and had figured out that someone was running a Nexus scam. They had a US proxy. He had videos. He had chat logs. He had the mailing address, because all the creators that were mentioned, which was people like Lefty, Bees, several others, some that were just heartbreaking, like JD for EDC, who gave away one of his 5K giveaway knives. But to this guy or gal or group who has come up with a way to not just duplicate their email address, like if Mr. Freak Show and Miss Freak Show are sitting on the couch and they're at the same address and they both enter, that's great. If they've got their kid's phone throw one in there. I don't care. But when you aren't in the community, because these people, MC was a big not a victim, because every creator looks at it differently, right? Some of them look at it like it's just par for the course. The way I look at it is I'm compiling the list because it was sent to me. I'm going to go in and block those email addresses and those usernames from the chat. And then I've got the mailing address in a little thing that they always send when they win a knife, and I won't ship to them. I mean, I've thought more nefariously, but I've thought better against it because I hate someone who will take advantage of kindness to get something over on somebody who's every bit, if not more deserving as them. Yeah, Rolly goes for an hour, Craig, and I just don't know. I know Backpack B. Let me check because I hated to jump in, but he was doing a lot of mod work, so I felt like it was totally different content. Let me check. And I don't do this every week. Let's go. But I was bored. I wanted to, if there were only, and there'll probably only be a few of you in here, and that's great. Those are the best lives for me, which right now I'm not looking at the chat. I almost bought an 11-inch monitor, which sounds tiny, but it would fit perfectly. And it would allow me to do more than one thing at one time. But anyhow, I'm not able to look at the chat now, but I will, and I like to be able to, and I hope to have a live and lives where I get more in tune to talking about what y'all are talking about, what's bothering y'all, what your questions are, what you're thinking about doing, what you're carrying, what's got you excited, what's got you sad. I think that's the way that I've always liked to be in lives. And I go back and look at when I first got attracted to Grateful Panics. And really brought me into the community. So I just found Backpack B, and it's a totally Backpack B. Check this out, guys. Because I was looking for night owls, but check this channel out. You think I'm at the right place? Real it. I'm trying to test to see what happens if I don't cuss, because every single one of my live streams gets demonetized, or not demonetized. Yeah, it gets demonetized. But all I have to do is appeal it. So then I rack up, not many, 100 views for people that watch part of it after the live, right? So the whole time people are watching it and it's getting views, it's not getting monetization. So every single time, 100% of the time, the humans that looked at it after the algorithm caught something, because it's supposed to be only in the like first 8 or 10 minutes, but I don't believe that, would come back and say everything's fine. Well, I did one. Let me see, because I cannot find Backpack B. I'll go to my recently watched because I was watching them. Let me share this real quick. And this is just my squirrel brain, guys. Keep in mind, I take my last dose of ADHD medicine like at 2 p.m. So I'm most scatterbrained right now. So Metal Mondays light from last Monday got flagged, which means you can watch it on YouTube Premium, but it's got some things where it can't be fully monetized. It can't be monetized. So I clicked the ad suitability thing and you click review. Well, this one came back and says it's been confirmed by manual review is not suitable for most advertisers. Learn why. And I didn't have to learn why. All I had to do was go back to my emails, and I got a nice email from YouTube, and it was from one of their standard forms that talked about things that are against advertiser restrictions. And cussing was one of them. But I watched the stream and there was no excessive cussing. I didn't have anybody that was super cussy on. But the other thing was I must have talked about which this kind of makes me mad because I think we did, but I must have talked about Ukraine and Russia, not in any kind of political sense. We just talked about how shitty it must be to kind of exist that way right now and how fortunate we are, something like that. And this will probably get the same treatment, but it's interesting to me. Um, what is on limits? Absolutely fine. Jesse, what's up? You're not a mod. I need to open this up and get you some because I understand there's a lot of things to be said about not only having a couple of mods, but I feel like if everybody has the same power, if I know them and they don't abuse it, I want them to be able to share links. I can always, and what will happen is every 90 days, you'll lose it, right? So when you come into the live and you notice you don't have a wrench, please don't think that's because it was taken away from you. Just notify me. New managing moderators, blah, 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 blah. I got it. I'm getting all these weird messages. So they're updates coming from YouTube that are rolling out. They're getting ready to do something really cool that I will try, but I don't know if it'll make a difference. Because I think I've said, and I'm not complaining, but I get very low views. So if you look at, because I'm a digital marketer by trade, that's what I do for a living. Craig, I'm going to make you a mod. So I know how to, I think, title a video. I've watched enough because it's pretty simple, right? I think if you put out there what somebody at some point will be looking for, they'll find it. But there's a lot of things in the YouTube algorithm that have to do with time of day, thumbnail looks. Anyway, my videos, for the number of subscribers I've gotten, which I'm the first to admit, most of my subscribers come from my shorts because I constantly pump out 7 to 10 little stupid 15-second shorts of me unsheathing and sheathing a fixed blade, which are the ones that get the most views, or possibly opening a knife. And that's where I would say 70% of my subs come from. Now, when you look at my analytics, those people aren't also watching my daily content. And I know a lot of it's because my daily content's not that good. I know that people only watch what they want to see. But there's also a psychology to how you present it. Because I noticed G-Ball, when he drops a video, and he's got less subs, and subs don't matter. Subs are not clout. Subs are not revenue. It's all about view hours. So he'll drop a video and have 1,000 views in a couple of hours. I'm lucky to get 1,000 views in a couple of months. But it's not about views, but it is because I want to be making content. I'm not going to set up and get fancy cameras and stuff like that, but I want to make content that resonates with people, that's interesting, that make a, I know time's fleeting, but have people want to take a look at it, right? So my reason for kind of going off on that little tangent is I'm trying to, I can't change the frequency with which I post. So when I first started the channel, it was so I could go live on Knives Live, which was our first little fundraiser we did for knife rights, which turned out really well. So well, we did it again in 2022. Turned out really well. 2023, there was a brother's tragedy that happened. We shifted focus. That got kind of lost in the shuffle because there were more pressing things in need. But the bottom line is I'd love to get back to that. So I'm saying that because I didn't really know what I was doing when I started YouTube. Still don't. I was just putting out shorts so I would have a channel that I could go live if somebody invited me, or if I wanted to go live. I couldn't go live through the app because I only had a couple of hundred subscribers. But at some point, I decided to do my first spoken video because I had this big collection that I wasn't using, right? I mean, I'd had Kaisers. if you look back at my old stuff, it's all budget knives. My I kind of did it for me because it catalogs my journey through this insane hike. Um, I've always been an impulse guy that will fall into, whether it's guitar gear or whether it's skateboards, I'll fall into this hobby, hard, heavy, and expensive pew pews, but then I'll drift out of it. And the knife community has been different, not because I started a channel, but because of the people I met at Blade Show 22, and that I continue to meet in chat, that I meet in person. I rarely get burned. Going back to this guy who has all these proxies, but he doesn't come in my lives and is never won because I don't publicize giveaways. I want to give the people that are here. I want Snow Tribe to get a knife. I want Paul to get a knife. I want Mayor Salt to get an O-Light. I want Rob 10 Ring to get a knife. You guys that support and come by and chat with each other, I want Mr. Eddie to win a knife. Great seeing you, buddy. I need to make you a mod. But I'm not doing it or have no desire to build my audience through live streaming. Live streaming to me is a way for me to keep myself from kind of going crazy because I don't sleep regular hours, right? So it's nice when I can just flip on the computer and go live and have people to talk to. So for me, it's therapeutic. I enjoy it. And I like talking knives. And every now and then I'm going to get better at reading the chat and somebody might have something going on. What's up, Jesse, channel member? And something in their life that's serious. You know, late night brings people out and nothing's too serious to talk about. And the thing about the knife community that I found personally, there's a small percentage of people that will always find ways to exploit the kindness of the other 99.9% of people in here. But what makes it so special is the 99.9% of people in here, although me, and I'm sure all of you who've seen some of these things happen, become a little more calloused. We're all still here for each other, right? So if someone has something to talk about, I always want my phone number. And a lot of y'all have my phone number because I don't read IG posts like I should. Y'all know I'm terrible. And I know there's just a few of you in here, but I'm terrible about replying to comments. I read every one of them. I love them. What's up, Miranda? Welcome. But part of my social anxiety keeps me out of the comment section, right? It keeps me away from troll comments, but at the same time, it's just not the way to build a community. And the only reason I'm here is to build a community, so I do it in other ways. I was starting to learn and become part of the community long before I started a channel with Knives Live, which we did for 2 years, and then going to Blade Show and meeting people and meeting you guys in chat. Greg, what's up, brother? Going to different chats. So the channel was a spinoff for me that has no aspirations of anything other than giving people a place to hang. It will never be a place, and that's why all of y'all are moderators, because I will publish this list somewhere because it's literally, I think, 1 or 2 people in there. Kathleen, hello. And there are tons of aliases. Let's see if I can even find something that I can share. Maybe it's not time to share yet, but we're all putting together these aliases and blocking them because you wouldn't think much about it, but this is more of a coordinated nexus. They live offshore. Tri-State has shipped to them, I think in the Netherlands. I think Rob's Nerdy Knives shipped to them. But there's such few of us, smaller creators, that have given away stuff through, I don't do milestone giveaways because I don't want to have the perception of luring people to subscribe to the channel. I want it all to be organic. I will always give away stuff, but I'll never publicize it. But this person took advantage of everyone from Metal Complex to JD for EDC, to G-Ball, I think. I'll have to go back and look at the email because there were receipts for everything. And thank God for this community member who's in the chat a lot, who I'm not going to call out, but they did the hard legwork. They didn't do it because they didn't win enough giveaways or they had. It was one of those things that their background is in because you we're so different not only in what we like but in what we do for a living. And people that are truly in love with the community and want to protect the community. And I speak out for Shane Gables. I think of him who sometimes rubs people the wrong way. And I say that because I love Shane and his opinions are very strong. But everything Shane does is 100% because he loves this community. Um, I think there's so many people that are like that, but at the same time, there are people that will take advantage of the kindness of those people. So, I was at the point, even though it's just a proxy of mailing myself in a crate strapped to the address. You know, that here comes your prize. And then they open it and it's me. And, you know, I'd get arrested and it wouldn't be a good thing. But that's kind of a joke. Shane is so cool, Space Ghost. The people that are most misunderstood in this community, I'm not going to name names, but the ones that get the most polarizing opinions are my best friends. And I think of myself as a very level-headed, hate everyone equally till they prove themselves worthy, right? It's not that I'm a good guy. It's just that my personality kind of lends towards trying to make peace to a flaw because that further aggravates my close friends who have very opinionated views, regardless of what side of any argument they're on. Um, I just want everybody to get along because I think it's kind of trivial what we do, even though it's very important and we're very passionate about it. They're knives. And all you got to do is look around our country to see what's going on or look around the world and realize how fortunate we are. I mean, I've been unemployed for almost 4 or 5 months and fortunate. I am so fortunate that I've got a roof over my head, that I can cover my living expenses. Even though I'm not buying knives, I don't need knives. Never did. You know, it's just one of those things that there's so much else going on. I hate to see friction in what I want my community to be, our community, because we all share a lot of the same people. But I want a lot of the people that come to my chats to all come because they need a break. They like hearing about knives. They like hearing bullshit rants that I go off on, but mainly they're here for each other. I don't want people here, and I want you all to win knives, and there'll always be knives to be won, but that'll always be kept between us because there's a core group of you who come in here. Um, and I keep up with who wins. So I do want it to spread around because ideally we would all be a knife meetup. I'd share knives with my friends. I consider you guys my friends. I only know in person maybe 2 or 3% of you. Every single person I've met in person, with the exception, and I can't think of them by name. I'm not thinking of anyone specifically by name, but I'm guessing there were 1 or 2 people that I've met through my 3 big blade shows and my 2 small blade shows that rubbed me the wrong way, that weren't what I perceived them to be. Because we all, for me, the long hair and the beard, if you look at old pictures of me, I don't look like this. You know, I can now because of where I am in my career, and I've got enough, I don't want to say talent, but skill set under my belt and a record of success in the little field that I focus in, which is digital advertising, which is kind of blasphemy anyway, but it works. Um, that I can do this. And I do it because it makes me more outdoorsy in some way. And guys, I'm not outdoorsy. That's why I always say, even in my bio, I'm not your hard review guy. Go watch Stasa. He's who I watch. Go watch Jared. That's who I watch. I love learning about that stuff, but I'm just not the guy. If I was out there cutting sisal or whatever you pronounce that rope, and I was cutting it like Stasa or Jared, I would have no fingertips. I'm a clumsy guy. I can open and close knives. I can cut paper, but I feel like by carrying a knife, using a knife for what an urban EDC sissy like myself uses it for, opening packages, cutting through tape, cutting paracord, it's valid to what a lot of, I think, the viewers that are attracted, if they are, to my channel expect. Because when I was first getting into the knife game and I first discovered YouTube, I think MC, of course, was the first one that was fed to me through my feed. And I like the straight up way of I'm just able to look at a knife and hear his pontification. Some things he really loved. Uh-oh, I do have a bell, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not looking. I'm not looking. I'm not looking. 5 door, what did I miss? Let me go to my other chat. Hold on. I'll do that just for fun. Is that too loud? Does that need to come down in volume? Because that's on its own little disable automatic checking. I've got something going off in the background that maybe I would love to have Cedric and Ada, except I think they've both passed, the dogs that the channel's named after. But I would love to have him as a guest. I'll tell you a couple of guests I'm working on, and I think it'll be excited if I can get any of them. And these guys are A, very busy, B, they're very normal people. So they're kind of shy. They're very, working related. They do their thing. 5 door, what is up, brother? But I'm hoping to bring on, I can't look at my Instagram because I was talking to him tonight. I want to bring on John and Jamie Rusk from EMP to EDC. I don't know if y'all are fans of EMP for EDC. I have bought every knife that they've come out with the exception of the Thick Boy Generation 2, because I didn't need it. It wasn't that different. And the Warncliffe Nimble. I've got the Nimble Tonto, the Nimble OG, which I call it the original GOAT, and the Nimble X. I've got the Ronin, I've got the Relative, and I've got the Pulse OTF. And my good buddy A to Z has the MagnaCut USA made OTF, which I hadn't reviewed yet. My point is, what I don't want anyone to ever think of this channel as is a promotional platform for any company that I'm not fully vested in, and I don't mean vested in any kind of financial capacity, except EMP EDC has several thousands of my dollars because of the knives I bought from them. He was talking to me, Javon. No bell ringing on stream. I will ring bells, guys. I've got chimes. I've got applause. I've even got the bar crowd, the rowdy late night bar crowd. I've got it all. I've got celebration, whatever that means. But no, John and Jamie don't only make a really cool knife. The Nimble was a huge advancement in my personal collection journey because it was the first kind of multi-deployment unique knife that I experienced. And all the knives that he's designed and had built by QSP or lately Best Tech have been wonderful. And they've got some really cool stuff coming out. But then you meet John and Jamie, who do the shows by themselves, and their booth is always as packed as anyone's. They've got like a 10-foot table, and they are stacked 8 people deep, waiting to talk to them and handle their knives. And they do that all day, and they have to say the same thing over and over and over. but they're wonderful people, and I wanna have them on Friday Night Flicks because I want everyone to hear their story. I don't know if y'all saw it around he does it every year. I think they're on their 3rd year, but he got laid off during the lockdown. He lost his corporate job. I lost mine for a totally different reason, standardization, but what he did is instead of going and finding another job right before everything locked down, he and Jamie sat down and talked and took a big gamble on taking a couple of designs that he'd worked up. He'd been retrofitting Slender Men, working in kind of as a strategic partner for those little bitty out the fronts, and he was kind of successful selling them. But he had these really good designs on CAD. So that was the nimble. Um, so he did the first run. I think it was even a pre-order. I did not get on the first run. I got in on the second run, but everybody loved it. And they loved it because it's a great little knife. It is a little small knife with multi-deployment methods with a wonderful choil, and it was unique. It didn't look like anything else. And then you think, this is a husband and wife. They have children. They had young children at the time that put everything on the line to not just make a junky product, but to make a product that kind of, in a way, in my arc, which is small. I mean, the knife industry is so huge, it's so long lasting, but I'm in it for a small time because we're all just, what do I say, ghosts riding skeletons made of fairy dust on a rock through a galaxy. Fear nothing. But they were a huge arc for me, and I would love to have them come on and share their story because to take a risk like that with an unconventional tool, um, that they knew was good. Evidently, he believed in it, and that's the key to success: is having a good idea, vetting it out with people who also say it's a good idea, or they're friendly enough to you to say, "Hey, man, it really sucks, and you need to go back to the drawing board," because that's just as valuable. But he did a great job, managed it well, reinvested it, and then came out with the frickin' Thick Boy by Best Tech. So he has one knife, Urban by QSP, the Nimble. I think he did 200, 250, and then he came out with this knife, the Thick Boy, totally different, an EDC cleaver. Who needs this? I did because I really loved it. It's a Magna Cut, not Magna Cut, M390. Micarta is what I meant to say, with titanium bolsters, tall flat grind. He's done a version 2, which even optimizes his choil more, but totally different than the Nimble because it's only got the single deployment. But you start to notice a theme in his designs, this blade hole. Anyway, I could run through all my EMP EDCs. I bought them all with the exception of the relative. It was gifted to me when they found me asleep in the pit in 2023. And I think they felt sorry for me because all my friends went to the Kaiser dinner, but they were very kind. Um, and they're great people. I mean, it's a husband and wife with a family, a young family that supports them emotionally, and they just kill it. So I'd love to have them on. I want to have a gentleman by the name of Colin McGuire on. Colin McGuire is a maker out of Maine. He is Mag 10 USA, Mag 10 Knife Works. He makes this EDW, and we'll go to his page later, but he makes a lot of really nice EDC fixed blades. Some of them that aren't my jam, that are a little more Persian. And he likes to do this loud and proud scale things where he leaves some of the tang exposed and the scale's not full, like this one. I'm not a fan in that. But what he does do that I don't respect as much, I do respect it, but I don't desire it as much, is he takes his own ingots and makes his own Damascus. And he'll tell me the recipes, the type of veining. He does it for not just looks, which they look amazing, and we'll look at him in a second, but he was at Blaze Show, and I wanna have him on, and he wants to come on. And then there's this gentleman that we'll look at in a second called Simeon for Simeon Knives. They're in Jackson, Tennessee. They're real close to me. They made a knife that my buddy A to Z EDC bought that I reviewed on the channel. It's a Tonto USA made knife. I reviewed it about a month ago. It's got a Spidey hole in it. And this is a small 40 something year old maker with a family who takes the time, even though he doesn't have to reach out to Spyderco and to license. Take a nice knife, fifth door, five door, fifth door. I'm sorry I'm so late, guys. I appreciate any of y'all that hang out with me. I'll ramble for a little while, show y'all a couple of things. But no, I do want to have Friday Night Flicks be a place where the community, our friends, I can't make it private. I never want to do members only live streams. I do want to do members only giveaways like the one we're doing this week. Joe Zabella, what is up, brother? But I do not want to limit communication because right now, in my financial situation, all my memberships have dropped off. So for like 36 months, I've been members to people like Big Red. And I feel like I need to reach out to them. I'm sure they know, but I feel like I need to reach out to them and say, hey guys, I support you every bit as much. I'm in the chats as much as I can be, but I'm just not able to be that member right now. So I get it if you can't be a member. I never want anybody to be penalized. So all I ever do, I still try to do regular giveaways on the down low because I don't want to bring people in that aren't regular people here to try to win knives because we just saw a huge rash of that and more of that'll come out. Because I really think we should mail ourselves to him, a group of us, like a Trojan horse. And when he shows up and opens it up, we just jump out and we just gutter stomp him. But that's just me. I'm a very peaceful person unless someone close to me and y'all are parasocially close to me gets taken advantage of. And we do so much. My best buddy, A to Z EDC, who's let me borrow some really cool knives, who you've seen some knives on this channel that have been made possible by him, was scammed recently by a guy on Facebook with some vouchers that he scammed because scams have gotten so freaking sophisticated. If you unravel what this YouTuber, not this YouTuber, this YouTube chatter, who is a great community member, when they ever come out and expose how they've dug up this information, you'll see how deep and twisted it is. Most of us was just like, look, I'm going to write down the names. The logic sounds very sound. And then the creators went back and pulled those names and they all went to the same proxy, except for Tri-State. And I think JD for EDC did mail them internationally because that's one of the scams. And they do numbers games. This is so weird. They will enter with like 12 accounts, but they'll do numbers games and their different accounts will be like, if it's like 6 to 240, they might go 24, 28, 30, 32. They're different people. They do these little blocks of numbers, which makes you think, are their bot groups tied together? So it allegedly is coming from, I forget. Let me see if I can get it here. Let me get on Instagram, and I'm not going to share it because I don't want to be the guy. It was just brought to my attention, and there are a lot more vocal people, Kevin, and other people like that that are in the chat that are much more adept to speak to it because I want everybody to get a second chance and do their thing, whatever that is, except scam people. And that's why I distance myself very rarely, but sometimes I have to distance myself from people who I perceive to be really, really good friends, that I supported for years and years. Fuck me once, shame on me, and I'll get banned for that. You know, or fuck me once, shame on you, fuck me twice, shame on me. So as we go through this, I'm gonna go to the emails. That's an easier way to show it. Hold on. Let me go down here. This is gonna give away the person who uncovered it. And if any of y'all are in the chat and you're part of this scam, I'm not calling you out. What I would love to see happen I'm not looking for apologies. I'm not looking for I just would love for you to take a step back and realize these are your brothers and sisters who are in here for the same reason, right? They're in here to try to win something, to have a good time. And when not me, because luckily I haven't yet been hit by it, I'm sure I will. But when you, no, I won't because I'm not going to ever publicize them. But when somebody's taking advantage of the system and taking winnings out of people that we consider people family around here because we spend a lot of time chatting to each other. So, and I don't want y'all to judge. I'm not sharing, so it's cool. Let's see. All right. I'm just going to do some random streaming because this is the wrong email thread. But this is coming from different emails or different creators, right? And a lot of these images are blurred out because it's such a big thread. Hold on. Anyway, there's one dude, maybe two, and this is just the last person that replied because there are a whole lot of people in this thread. You'll see these are all people, and the person who will remain nameless unless y'all read his name, and I don't know how to work Gmail, but there's a way to look at the older emails where it started. Let's see, there should be three little dots somewhere. But anyway, it shows all the work he's done to pull together all these screen names and tie them to this respondent. So then all the people from Zach to Big Red to Bees was taken. Let's see. I'm trying to find, and this is part of it. This guy's, and he's got like so many aliases. If anybody ever wants you to mail to Serbia, either shit in a box and send it to them, and that's against the law, or just don't fuck with them. Because I think we're all going to get a little bit more, and it won't make a difference to y'all, but we're going to get a little bit more picky about giveaways. That's why I always say in member giveaways, it does not matter. You leave a comment in the member giveaway, and you are good to go. All right, so here's 39 different responses. So when you look through here, there was a lot of work put together. This right here, these are all names that they've got a bot or something that registers with. I've never seen those names in any of our chats. That's why I've got everybody a mod because we've got to look out for each other. But the fact that they are winning from some of these really tight, like Rob's Nerdy Knives is one of those guys who makes you really see. Here's the same guy, and this is his. This is where I thought we should mail the Trojan horse. This is his obvious proxy address, and all these different creators, if we go down through here, have found where he has won shit from them, which pisses me off because it's shit that you guys should have won. Beast Blades has won 3 or 4 times. This guy has. And then, why do I keep closing that? I can't work Gmail, guys. I'm sorry. So we've got 39 different creators replying, and all of them are pretty much saying the address from Niche 777 does match the address I received from Crazy Owl. So we're in the process of, and if you guys are in here, just don't do it anymore. And like, this breaks my heart. JD for EDC was the winner of the Purple Haze. He wasn't the winner, but American Paw Star, which is one of his aliases, was the Purple Haze Militar that he bought to give away to his 6K subscribers. And he just says, it sucks if he was spamming others as well, as I worked hard to chase that knife down for the giveaway, which I get it. We want you guys to benefit. But as we know from monster racing, and we can shame him out, but that doesn't do anything. He needs to have his guts stomped out. But we've gone through it with people that have infiltrated the community as mods and other things. So if when I do giveaways and I say, you must chat, if you're brand new here, I welcome you. I want to grow our little community because I've came into it as a newbie. I've met all of y'all coming into it. So I want us to bring the right type of people in it. I don't want to bring them in it to win a free knife. I think everybody deserves a free knife and hopefully we'll get to there. But, you know, it's about looking out. I will make those announcements. You guys know, like Space Ghost, like Paul, like Craig. I'm not talking to y'all. If y'all win in a subscriber giveaway that we just pull randomly and you come up in a chat and you leave a chat, Javon, because that's another thing. Their chats are copy pasted. So you can go through and this person, this community member who I love to death, who's in our chats all the time, y'all love him too, went through and has links of all the live streams and timestamps of when these different personas came in, and he's got screenshots showing how closely they're able to post. It is fascinating. And he happens to work in some type of cybersecurity. So it makes sense that he would be able to pick up on stuff like that. And a lot of us who just struggle to create content and then have live streams to communicate and make stuff available, we don't think. Stevie made me aware of it kind of early. Stevie and Maddie, because they're also always anti turd burglars, which I get because I think they got burned early on by some people coming in. But again, it's all about, I think the trick is don't mention it in your comment or in your title, in your thumbnail. If you mention it in your title and your thumbnail, you should at least acknowledge that you're going to pull in some undesirable, shitty people. For example, I love MC, whatever. He brings in over 1,000 people in a live because he's super popular. But after his giveaway, 60% of them drop. I don't ever want my lives to be, when they're big, I can't read the freaking chat. And I never want people to come to try to get something because that's not the reason we have lives. That's just part of, if something's given to me, I want to make sure it goes back to y'all. If I've got something I'm not carrying, I want it to go back to y'all. And it's just unfortunate that there are people that make a living because they probably turn up on Blade Binge or eBay off of the community's generosity. So in the future, you'll probably see on other lives, they might not mention it, but they might be more particular. So those of you who come in here, I know 96% of you. I know you from talking to you, like Minda Milton, like Joe Isabella, like Craig, like Miranda, like Chef Rocky, Roman M. I can go on and on and on. I've known you guys for years before I had a channel, like Five Door. A lot of us have traded knives, which is pretty much a personal thing, guys. For where we are in the hobby, as kind of like knife junkies, to trade a knife with a friend is kind of like being blood brothers because chances are the knife cut you, chances are the knife cut me. So, deduct from that what you will. But we've got to look out for each other. And please don't take it personally if your favorite streamer that does giveaways is more. I hope more people talk about it because they have more information and have discerned more from it than I have. But it upset a lot of medium-sized, large, and especially small creators because especially the ones, and I don't even want to, I'm not virtue signaling. I don't want to even mention it, but I have to. I never have 1,000, I'm giving something away. 500, I'm giving something away. 10,000, I'm giving something away. If I make it to 11, I'm giving something away. No. When I go live, I try to sneak something in and give it away. I don't want people to come join, which is kind of counterintuitive because I feel like if I send out shorts and they're knife shorts and they subscribe, maybe they just like the short content. They're not winning anything being a short watcher because I have your analytics show you I've got like 50% of my audience. Some just watch shorts, some just watch long form, and some watch both. But yeah, I'm not in it to grow because people want free stuff. I never went to lives wanting free stuff. Um, so definitely, definitely, definitely always enter giveaways, always enter my giveaways. When I have giveaways, they're typically going to be two. I'm not able right now to do a member giveaway every week, but I try to do them a couple times a week because those are nicer knives. But all you have to do as a member is go to the video that I post, leave a comment, one word, hi. I just wouldn't cuss or leave an emoji because for some reason the comment picker skips over it. Leave a message. You don't have to be at the live. If you win, I write you down in my book, and I or someone in the community who knows you finds you. You're a member of the channel. I'm not going to redraw. You don't have 2 weeks to claim it. I'll find you. If you're if I'm doing a giveaway either in the StreamYard or I'm not going to do channel raids because that kind of hurts people and there's a weird consensus there. I think it's a positive as long as you're, but I'm not going to go there. That's a whole nother. I will find a video or, you know, do something to do subscriber giveaways. When I say subscriber, people that I know in the live, whether Five Doors subscribed or not, and he's a channel member, so he's not a good example. But Snowtrog, whether he's subscribed or not, I know he's always here supporting me, right? To be subscribed helps when you guys use links on my link tree that takes you to River's Edge Cutlery. If you're out buying knives or Blade Binge and you use those links, it helps. But I don't ever depend on those or ask for them. It's I want y'all to know that they're there, but I'm here to talk knives. So I'm not going to hold out a giveaway and I'm not calling anybody out because everybody should do it differently. But I want to give knives away because I want to give knives away. Real simple. I don't want to attract an audience outside of the way I do now from meeting Kathleen, from maybe Kathleen talking to somebody, from seeing somebody on a live stream like MPG EDC, Meredith, young lady who I had up briefly Monday night, who her and her husband started a channel and she's wonderful. I happened to catch one of her videos where she happened to be at Blade HQ. She lives out in Utah, their re-grand opening, and she interviewed Nothing Fancy. So from that little bit of confidence and that cool interview and interaction they had, and I hadn't seen Nothing Fancy because he was before my time, I really enjoyed it. So I went and I watched her channel, which was a very small channel, and I started promoting it. Not with giveaways, but just in my community tab and saying, guys, you know, it's a channel I like, check it out. If you don't like it, fine. If you do, fine. But it turns out when we go and we do giveaways and leave a comment, the overall thought behind it's positive. But unfortunately, everybody's in a rush to get back. So they go and they watch the video, they leave a comment, they like it, which is fine. But for YouTube to capture that as a engaged audience member, you really need to watch more than one video, a short, something else. You got to do a couple of things on the page. It's weird. It, I guess, makes sense, but that's why I don't do channel raids because what creators find, especially smaller creators, is they'll lose more when it's all said and done because YouTube then combs their whole sub list and pulls out the bots and stuff like that. Mayor Salt, I've been leaving this out and try to carry it almost every other day. This is just a cold steel. I pulled the lock out. This is an AD 15 with a Satu grind. And it's got the original goat scales, which they mill out for skiff double row bearings. So this AD 15 is riding on bearings with washers in the titanium. This was the black G10. It was running on little washers with little, it had like one washer and one little nylon washer, and it was real janky. I love this knife now. So one thing about original goat, I do wish these were more blasted and a little bit more grippy. They feel great, but I wish they were more grippy. but I love the fact that they're exploring other ways to improve the knife because I love this knife. I like it almost better than the 20.5. And I got to show you guys something else, something we were going to do tonight if we got real bored. Can y'all hear me when I do this? Tell me if you can hear me. Can you still hear me? Somebody give me a thumbs up. If you can't hear me, give me a thumbs down. Thumbs up or thumbs down. So this is my McNeese Mac 2 3.5. And this is a different size of skiff made blades, thick washers. These are 1/4 inch. These are going in a hinderer. But what you'll notice is I've got my hinderer tri-way out here, and that metal washer that lines up in the scale, and then you put the phosphorus between the blade and the metal washer. The skiffs are a thicker phosphorus bronze washer. Why, you ask, John? Tell me, Javon, why are you sharing this with us? Because they make thick washers for almost every size knife. So this is my baby banner. This is my size comparison knife. Notice anything about it? It won't focus. It's on skiff thick washers. So it's not drop shut. Doesn't have to be. It's 100% solid. Whoops, that was my fault. It's solid. If I worked in a shop, like a cabinet shop that I used to, or if I worked where Dark Gravity did in a steel company, I could see why thick washers with Slick 'em all would be a good thing. But this was my second knife because I got several different sizes of them to try. The first knife I'd heard about was my McNeese Mac 2. And guys, I put skiffs in this, which I didn't have to because it had some of the best action ever, the skiff bearings. And I took it to my buddy A to Z tonight, and he was like, "Well, mine drops shut." And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure it does. But if you give it a little shake, do this. Take it halfway, take yours halfway down and see if it gets in a blade wiggle." And of course it does. This knife's 100% solid. The tolerances are so tight. I put them through the cheat sheet, and I think these are 3/16 by 1/16 thick. So when you put the bearing through, it's a little looser going through the cheat sheet than the phosphorus bronze washer. But the phosphorus bronze washers are machined with such tight tolerances that they really make a difference. So what I thought we'd do if we got bored, I've got my XM18 washer set. So what this is 2 nylon washers, which I don't need. I either pair them up with these steel washers or the phosphorus bronze. But what I was going to do is, it didn't take a second, but I was going to try to throw these thick washers in and see if it makes a difference on my XM18, which right now is on skiffs. And as you can tell, it's not going to do that. It is an absolute guillotine right now. But there's something to be said, and I guess I discovered it first, first appreciated it with the Chris Reeves, but I've had it on my Strider. I've got it on my Spartans. And bearings when they break in, and I'm a big fan of Slick 'em all. So how would you guys feel if I turn my side, clear this out real quick, break this down, it won't take a second, and throw washers in it? I'm gonna do a poll. I don't know if I know how to do a poll. Fuck me. Rocky, are you still in here? Chef Rocky, I went space case. Craig, I waited. It was such a weird thing. It took 9 months 8 months for me to get those scales, and it wasn't because of the scales. I talked to Marty at Original Goat, who's one of the he works there. I think he's part owner. But one of the things they had to get when they pocketed these out for those double roll skiffs, they had to get a unique shaped washer to make it fit upright. And the only place they could get it was overseas, and they ran into a supply issue that threw everything back. So let me go over here and make a poll real quick. Why does it keep coming? I've got this goddamn Epson message coming up asking me if I want to check for an update. And I'm like, absolutely not. I want you to go away. All right, let me go over here. I know what I need to do. How do I do a poll? How do I do a poll? I need to go all chat, live chat. I need to go pop out chat. Guys, I can't see, but I'll be back. I'm trying to figure out. I've seen this before. Where's a poll? Maybe I don't have enough clout to do a poll. I hope I didn't just close the stream. Okay, here we go. Bear with me. Top chat, participants, community moderation, reactions, pop out chat. That's not what I want. I want to do a poll. Damn it. And it used to be down here where I could just insert it. How do I do that? All right, here's a poll. It's going to be hand type poll to hinder or not to hinder. And I'm anticipating this being a 5 to 7 minute task if we choose to take it on. Why is it not showing me the chat anymore? Why does this suck? Why can't I put a poll up here? And guys, I've checked and checked and checked and tried to see how I can gift memberships like MC does. I really think that comes with being able to have a social media manager and having a lot more people. I could be wrong, but poll to hinder or not to hinder is probably on guard is great for stick on certain models. I love it that y'all are chatting. If y'all are chatting, I'm going to give it about, how do y'all watching this on X? Barry, welcome, buddy. I streamed this on X and Facebook, and I got a message today on StreamYard that Facebook might not be streaming it, but I never get anybody that watches it. I don't know if you ever come and hang out in the YouTube community, but you're welcome there. I'm glad I can see your comment. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, man, sit back and chill. And see, somebody like Barry, if we were doing a giveaway tonight, which we're not, but we will be Friday. This is just a random live, Barry. We go Friday night at 8:15 Central Time every week. But I do giveaways. I don't publicize them. But when people come in and introduce themselves and talk, they can creep like I do a lot of the time when I'm busy. But if they come in and say, hey, and people get to know him as Barry from X, or wherever. Yeah, man. I mean, I was saying earlier on my diatribe, there's been an email going around to creators where one of our community members who's fantastic has done a lot of research on a lot of lives. Not this live. This live wasn't affected because I don't publicize GAWs. And I don't do videos where you can go leave a chat. But there's been a Nexus kind of scam thing going on where the creators, after getting all these usernames, went back and a lot of really big, like JD 6K giveaway, MCs, 500K, Tri-States, 10K, I think it was. This person, same mailing address, because they went back and checked it. One of them was a US address. People like Tri-State, and I think Rob's Nerdy Knives actually sent it international. But what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to show you guys how I take apart a hinderer. So hinderers, people say you have to have a proprietary tool. And you do have to have a spanner bit if you've got a real tight pivot, which I don't, because these are Chicago barrel screws that use a I don't know what that size is. I can't read it, guys. But basically, all I do, and I learned this on MCs, I don't use a special tool. I use a penny and I put a little masking tape, not masking, but painter's tape on it so it doesn't scratch my pivot. But watch how quickly I break this apart. I'm sorry I'm not talking, guys. I'm going to go losing my barrel spacers. I'm going to be losing my barrel spacers here in a second if I'm not careful. And when they roll onto the floor, I'm history. So I'm going to get my penny. I'm holding with my finger. I should be holding all those barrels, but I've already lost two. So I'm holding the back of this screw. And what you'll find about a hinderer pivot, when you go buy hinderer hardware, you can buy this front screw. You can't buy the actual pivot, which is the part in the back. But look how long and well machined this screw is. I am going to get a little rag. So that's simple. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I got to reach around the back of this. Hold on. Whoa. Sorry about that if you were wearing headphones. That was pretty brutal. Sounded brutal. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but what I'm going to do now, one thing you'll find about Hinders, Striders, Spartans, I'm not going to say certain smaller makers or lesser expensive makers, but Medfords, they come apart with absolute ease. They're machined fantastically well. Even though this is giving me a pain in the ass right now. There we go. All right. So this is where it gets cool. This is where it gets weird. So what I'm going to do, these are just little 12G PPU cleaning rags. I buy these in the buttload. They're synthetic. I put some alcohol on there just to take the old lubricant off, because I think with these being bearings, I was probably using KPL or nano oil. So I just go in there. I just go in there and get the schmutz out of there. And then I've got to feed my pivot. See how my pivot looks? And you cannot buy that. That's made specifically for each knife. But I will lube it up with some Slickamol in a second. Clean it off. Feed it through because we're going to build from this side. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cheat sheet. This is my cheat sheet that tells me what my pivot size is and what the thickness of my bearing is. So, starting with the pivot, I'm not at 3/16, I am at 1/4 inch. So that's what I've got here. But what I've got to find out is if my thickness and the tolerance should be very tight. But I take the bearing, whether it was a stock bearing that came out or if it was a skiff, and I see where it slides through. It doesn't slide through 3/64. It does slide through 1/16. It's floppy and 2 millimeters. So this is a 1/4 inch by 1/16 bearing. That's what Hinderers run. That's the deal. So if this doesn't go through 3/16, it does slide through 1/16 with no room to spare. So I think we're going to be in fantastic shape. I'm going to try it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of OCD for EDC. I'll show you what this stuff is. I've got my second two. I'm a huge believer. Plus, I really like Justin and Molly. But this stuff, this Slickamol, works very, very well. For washers. A lot of people swear by it for bearings, but I like to use KPL or Nano Oil. KPL gives me a 10% code for you guys. I don't make any money there, so I've been using KPL because really oil's oil. Maddie says it best. I think he uses some real oil that works really well, some dial oil. But this stuff right here, you can get it with a metal applicator, which I would have gotten had it been available at the time, but it's 18 bucks. But you can also get it. Whoops, I went the wrong way. You can also get it for 15 bucks, like I did, which comes with two plastic tips. It's a really good lubricant. I'll show you guys how it works. So what we do is I have to get it primed up in there because I suck it back in. So I get it where it's just about to come out the tip. And then I put a little bit right around where that washer is going to go. And guys, don't do as I do because I am one who will overuse lubricant because I like to lube up the pivot too because that's where a lot of the contact comes in. Again, your action comes from right here. So I put a little on my detent ball. And then we're going to take our first washer and drop that bitch down there. Very tight, hardly any movement. I mean, none. I've got it stuck in that hole. I'll probably never get it out. Now I'm going to take some more Slickamol. And I'm going to put it in there. I think that'll help. So then we'll get our blade, clean the crap out of it because it's got, if you'll notice, hinderers have an inset for the bearing on one side and a flat on the other side. Why? I don't know. But they all do. Put a little in that detent globber and I get a little right there. Just a little track. I use way too much lube, guys. That's just the way I roll. All right. So now I'm going to hold my pivot. Got it in there the way I want it. Where I screw up here a lot, and I'm not going to do it tonight because I'd be embarrassed, is I forget to put in my spacers on my body screws, my barrels, but we will get that tonight. We'll do that next because then I've got to balance the knife with 3 fingers holding the back Chicago screws. All right, we got plenty of lube. All right. Hold my pivot. Slide that bitch down. Get just a drop. A drop. A drop. And drop. All right. Guys, now I've got to take these guys and I've got to use, since I'm a guitar player, I can stretch my fingers, but it's still a pain in the ass because I'm trying to keep the blade flat. So I've got to fret a thicken F9 chord to hold these barrels in space, in place, so that when it snaps together, I'm on the ball. And I want to make sure my blade is sit down and my pivot is closed up. So now what I'm going to do, these go together really well. If I can line it up without dropping it. I dropped one. All right, that's what I didn't want to happen, but I'll find it. Give me 2 secs. I'm going to do this. Why am I sharing a screen? Watch this. I'm going to put y'all on wait and see while I find this piece because I'm going to have to get on the, I'm going to have to get a flashlight. It's right down here under my feet, but hold on. That wasn't nearly as painful as I thought, but that could just show what could come if I'm not careful. Sometimes I fish the screws or the Chicago barrels afterwards, but they're really tightly. There's very little tolerance, so trying to position a barrel when you've got the scale on, even if it's loose, is problematic to say the least. So hopefully, I won't go through that again. Hopefully, this will go very smoothly. All right, that's through. All right, guys. So far, been to bar. So I'm gonna take my screw. I can take this by hand. Can y'all still see that? Take that by hand and get it most of the way down. And then thanks to MC, the penny trick works wonders. Because I just want to tighten it all the way down. I'll leave it a little bit of slack now. While I drop my body screws in, which are very well, They're not T8s. A T8 will work. They're hex. I say they're 3/16. I don't know that for sure, but they're very good screws. I broke one of my 3-inch. I broke the head off. I called Hinder's shop to see if they had any stainless 3-inch body hardware, expecting them to charge me for it. And they sent me the replacement hardware. I wasn't the original purchaser of the knife. They didn't know if I misused it. I did send them a video of when it broke, 'cause I was just putting it back in like this. All right. So now I call that another touchdown. So that is my XM18, which you saw it had dangerously droppy action. Still has very drop shutty action. I've got it all the way tightened up on those thick washers. I've got no play. Solid as it can be. And the phosphorus will only break in more. On that Slickamall, that was me missing the finger. But it feels like a totally different knife. I mean, bearings are great. I love the way bearings feel, but I could see taking this hunting or taking this out in the outback or wherever the hell I was, where I didn't want to have to worry about, even though bearings can be washed. I know there's some advantages to bearings in hard use areas, but I know with people like Dark Gravity, who works in a steel mill where there's a lot of steel dust and things like that, washers are more are less likely to get plagued with yuck, right? Um, but there are no tolerances here. When you saw, I think you guys saw when I stuck that in, even the 1/16 cheat sheet, that could have been my foot. But when I stuck the thick bearing or the thick washer in the 1/16 slot, it was very, very tight, which was good because it means there's no slop in that dimension. And good knives like Skiss, Tinderers, I would say there are other manufacturers. There are a lot of manufacturers who make very high tolerance machining and they keep their tolerances low. Um, Skiff, for one, is amongst the best. But the Skiff thick washers, which I put them on everything now from my Hinderer to my McNeese to my Baby Banter. You can look at the compatibility chart. We'll go there here in just a second. You can go to the compatibility chart and you can see what size bearings the knife that you're looking to replace would take, because most of them are on there. Um, and then you can find the same pretty much washers. For example, let's say we were going to look for the Liang field duty. I'm just thinking that one out loud. So I'm going to go Liang Ma. They might not even have his bearings in stock or his washers, because I know they're just for the most size, the most popular. Let's go to Liang. The field duty EDC, that's the one I've got. 6 millimeter by 1/16 by 13. So usually here are the washers. 6 millimeter by 1/16. $4.65 for a set of those. So if you go to, I hope y'all are getting those different shots. back up now. We're looking at skiff thick washers. I just did an install on my Hinderer with some of Steve's thick washers where you can replace your bearing knives, which Hinderer comes with tri-ways, but you can replace them with, instead of using 2 washers here, you just use one of the thick ones. But I replaced them in my Mac 2. Still feels great, super tight, no play at all. And you could even get small ones, Zach, where you can replace your Baby Banter, any Civivi you've got. They're like $5 for the thick washers. But what I was looking at is we were going to go back and look at some other makers because we were getting ready to look at the say we wanted to look at the, let me share this, because not every manufacturer is going to have, but the 3/16, this is what my Mac 2 used, 3/16 by 1/16. These are the bearing size. So if I go to those bearings right here on the same page, you'll notice that these are 3/16 by 1/16, which means, let's see, that means the pivot, wait a minute, the pivot is right here. That's the pivot size. And the 1/16, that's the thickness of the bearing. So when you're looking, whoops, when you're looking at the bearings that go to your knife, if you wanted to try out the thick washers and some Slickamall, which we use too, Zach. Slickamall worked great. But why did it not let me share? There it is. So these are the 3/16 by 1/16 that I originally had in my skiffs. They're $12.99 for skiff bearings. You get 2 more bearings and you get a solid phosphorus bronze washer. But then if you get just the washers and add some Slickamall, you've got a knife that's not going to be bogged down by any dust, any metal if you work in a metal shop, and they're $5. But he does a great job. I'm a big fan in skiff workshops. As a matter of fact, the reason I went and picked up those 2 knives that I'm going to review today from my buddy A to C EDC is I wanted him to check out my skiff washered Mac 2 because he has one too, and we both talked about the action. We've ranted and raved about it. It's a great knife, but I loved it when I put it on washers. Well, he's not a skiff believer. He thinks that skiffs are a gimmick, yada yada yada. So I took some of the washers I took out of one of the knives the other day that are stamped washers that are the same size as, they weren't the 3/16. I think they were 6mm or 5mm, but they were stamped. So you didn't have a solid phosphorus bronze washer. You had a crimped washer and you had 11 ceramic balls kind of wedged in that track, like a race roll track. What I think of is I think of those toys that cats chase balls around in circles because the ball's in there, but you can see half of it, but the rest of it you can't. When you look at skiff bearings, they're a solid phosphorus bronze washer. And instead of them tracking it or putting a racetrack type apparatus on it, they are press fitting each of their bearings into the washers. So they had a video they put up the other day, and I have no affiliation with them guys. They do send me bearings from time to time, which means I do have an affiliation with them, but I get no money. You guys get a discount if you choose to use them. But I thought this was a cool video, and I won't play any music. But this shows how their little machine, the holes are already drilled. They're all done by CNC, but the bearings are sitting on top, the ceramic bearings on this particular run. and they're just going through, lightly press fitting them in. See them sitting up proud there, and they just push them through, and they've got the gel underneath so that they can run through both sides. But if you think about it, if you've ever seen one of his dad's knives or what they do making knives, I think they make as fine of a knife as anybody, and a lot of what they do in terms of the bearings are to bring that type of quality to the rest of the community because they made their own bearings. But yeah, I'm a big fan, and I have nothing to gain but a few sets of bearings, but with that, I'll F up at least 1 or 2 knives. Which ones? Facebook groups are probably the best bet for getting a Rosie. If you wanna get a Rosie, I would find not only Facebook groups, because I had a good friend of mine, um, pick up a couple of knives that since there are just a few of you in here, I'm gonna show it because I'm doing an unboxing on it tomorrow. But he bought 2 of these in different configurations, and he bought them off the same group, and they were vouched for, and all the receipts that seller B, who never delivered, sent was a scam from the start, which goes back to not only turd burglars who will be stopped in their track when they try to get over on community members on giveaways. You've got to be really careful when you're buying knives on the secondary. I don't care where you are. I don't care who's vouching for you. Of course, one of the advantages of being in chats with you guys all the time is like Paul and I trade quite a bit. I trade with people I know. Um, it just works better that way. And then my buddy who got taken on the other Strix is a very safe guy. I got taken on a Vox Chillin because the deal was too good to be true. I searched one morning. It was SEO, which is organic search. It came up, no paid ad, store I hadn't heard of. They seemed to have it real cheap. Yeah, for a Rosie, what I was going to say, Miranda, is if you get in the right group and you start having conversations, I would not tell someone that you were looking. I think that's where the woodwork opened up for my buddy who got had. I think if you're in there, you will see plenty become available. And then you can talk to them about price because that's what I was surprised. I had my PMP Titano listed on Blade Binge for like $350. It was a $550 knife. I got a 10% discount using my code, so it was like $500. So I was trying to sell it for 350, which I thought was real fair. Well, it got some looks, but nobody ever messaged me. I didn't hear a word. I would have let it go cheaper. Um, well, my buddy said, let me sell it on eBay. They're only about 7 on there. They're all from 2 sellers and they're new and they're 550. So he listed it at 475 and it's got 12 watchers and ends the day after tomorrow. So he says it'll definitely sell. There's no need. He goes, if I need to, I can send the watchers, the 12 watchers, like a 20% or $20 discount if they buy in the next 20 minutes. I don't need to do that yet. So the market is soft for selling knives. That's why I like trading knives. But if you're, and I support Blade Binge. I'm one of their affiliates. Um, certain knives you need to get a specific buyer. Good for you, Miranda. Social media is not anything that anyone needs. I did the YouTube just for Knives Live. I don't think of it as social, but it really is. Discovery bug currently is probably what was Kathleen's question? Let me see. What's your favorite knife? Ooh, that's a tough one. That's one that I just can't answer. And Paul will tell you that mine changed from hour to hour. Craig, it took me over 2 years to even entertain that logic, and I'll tell you why, or why I perceive that to be the case. I was a functioning addict, alcoholic, who worked, who made money, who people wouldn't know I was sober unless I was not sober for over 13 years. So I had compulsions, which were drugs at the time, pain pills in particular. And I spent a lot of money on them, like a hinder every day and a half. So when I quit all that and I did it on my own, I did it with I had a therapist, but I didn't go to rehab. I went to AA. But my compulsion when I started buying guitar equipment well before lockdown and when I got into the knife hobby again, it didn't seem like I was spending a lot, which I wasn't compared to what I was spending before. So I was able to collect a lot of knives and I collected knives quickly. And the way I did it was I liked the dopamine rush of getting a confirmation email that my order had been received. I was ordering Kaisers, Civivis, my first Grail, because it's all relative, but my first Grail, which will be a forever knife, was my 940. And it took 11 days to get here because it got lost in the mail. But I would never think about spending over $100 for a knife. But then I had a case and a half, almost 2 Apache cases full of $50 and $60 knives. And Dark Gravity came by one day and he's like, dude, you've got 3 hinders in that case. You won't be able to sell them and get that. But if you would just put something in your cart and then think, what is this going to cost me in the long run? It's easy to save. So my suggestion is you've got to get, or I had to get out of the habit of always having something inbound where I was always tracking it because that was a compulsion. I needed it, right? Oh, Zach, this was it and still is. This is one of my top 10 knives. I love my Freak. I love my Bug Out. I am not a hater by any stand. I'm not buying them right now because nothing excites me, but that doesn't mean I won't next year. But my point is, Shane was a great experiment, and I don't recommend the tactics he took to earn it. But he wanted to prove that anybody could own a Medford if they wanted to. So Shane took a part-time job at a gentleman's club as a bouncer, which if any of you think that sounds glamorous or enticing, you've never broken up nightly fights of girls who scrap over tips, and it becomes a very volatile environment. Shane did. And he did it for, I want to say, 3 weeks and 6 days. And he was able to go to Blade Show with cash from that establishment and buy his Medford Smooth Criminal. And he and Dark Gravity together told me, and I've given away almost every budget knife I own. I've got one I'm going to give away this weekend. I haven't decided yet. And then we've got the member giveaway. But I just don't buy budget knives as much anymore unless it really speaks to me or I want to review it. Because I know if I just hold out of 5 budget knives, I can buy something I really want, if that makes sense. And right now, it gets weird. I saw a video Jared put up about 2 weeks ago. It said, I'm done. Y'all might have watched it. And it talks about what happens when you find that perfect knife. When you find that knife that makes you think it happened with Dark Gravity with his Sabenza, because that kind of completed his trinity of knives he'd always wanted and never thought he'd have when he was younger. And he went to Blade Show and didn't find anything he wanted. He got joy out of buying his son a zombie tactical apocalyptic slicer. But the longer you're in the game, as long as you don't set yourself to unrealistic channel expectations, which you don't have to. You can make content any way you want to if you do that. Just get set in your ways, whether it's once a week, once a month, once a day, twice a day. Just be consistent. Um, you lose you don't lose interest because for me, again, the reason I stayed with this hobby is long and much longer than guitars and all the other things that I've fluttered through with my ADHD is the people. So you don't have to be acquiring knives to enjoy chats and hang with people and go to shows and meet people and learn about knives because I'm a student of the game in everything I do. I mean, I've done digital marketing now for 15 years and it's changed so many times. And I used to have account executives take me on calls and introduce me as a digital expert. And my first truth is there's no such thing as a digital expert. If anyone comes in here trying to sell you advertising and tells you they're a digital expert, run. It doesn't exist. It's going to change tomorrow. Knives are the same way. I have opinions. Don't ask me about them because it makes people unhappy. I think spine whacking's for fixed blades, and it's for idiots because you don't use the back of your knife unless you're hammering something with a fixed blade. That's my personal opinion. I don't use knives hard. HRC means nothing to me. If it cuts shit, it cuts shit. I like to sharpen it. If it feels decent on a stone, I'm happy with it. Have I had bad heat treats? Yeah. Have I had burnt edges that turned out to be fine after time? Yeah. Do I have enough knives to where I carry them so seldomly it doesn't matter? Unfortunately for me, yeah. So I'm not the guy that's why I always say there are people that are not experts because experts don't exist, I think, in any field. Um, but there are very educated people that do. Paul, it means a lot to a lot of people, and I totally get it. I mean, you want to get what you're paying for, but it's just not something I'm qualified to speak to. If I can stick it in a stump and it doesn't bend, it's a winner. Miranda, let me make sure I'm following you. I think I am. I know I am. What am I saying? Duh. I'll check it out. I will definitely check it out. I'm bad about following. I'm bad about reading comments. That's why I say it's not because I worry. You'll see me a lot of times get drawn in to reply to a troll because I find it fun. Especially when I post shorts and they get a lot of views. I get people, and they must be from other countries, telling me, I can't believe you're in an office with a knife. I would call the authorities on you. And I'm thinking, okay. I mean, what can you say to that? Nothing. I always say, thanks for the view. Sorry you feel that way. Um, but it's a community thing. And what I hope to foster here in the channels that I visit, the same community seems to move around. I don't want to grow it artificially. I want to bring new people in that find it because their friends told them about it, or they stumbled across a video and they're young knife people, or they're thinking about knives. I don't want to bring in people who are looking for a freebie to flip. And so, back to my original soapbox, don't think anyone's talking to you if you hear an undercurrent of frustration from creators because their goal is to alster foster their community, their audience, and they want to give knives to you guys. When they pull a name, I can tell you this from experience because I've done it, that you have no memory of or no recollection of, you don't know them, and you see people in there every week trying to win. You want those people to win. That's why I made a joke today in that thread that instead of doing knife giveaways, I'm just gonna say, "You win," and when they win an insult. I'm just gonna, like, toss out a random insult to the winner, and then I'll pick people out without ever telling them who've been kind through the chat and send them knives. I can get y'all's address. I can get somebody to reach out to the people that are in my chat and say, "Hey, Javon said send him a DM, you want a knife." Because that's the only reason I give them away is because I want them to go to you guys. So why not play shenanigans with giveaways and give away either motivational speeches like get out of your mom's basement, you ghost riding a meat skeleton on a rock hurtling through the gravity, um, or an insult, you know, and then I can tell who talks to each other in the chat. I also respect lurkers. I lurk a lot. A lot of times I'm sharpening a knife, I'm doing laundry, I listen to them in the background. So I'm not saying you have to chat, but I think people should be rewarded for lifting others up. I'm an idiot, but I think that way. You know, I'm an empathetic idealist, which is the quickest way to not be a go-getting, bloodthirsty opportunist. But I think in the long run, it's the only way to be because there are things I could do with different affiliate programs. With I could have enough knives on this channel if I was willing to show them. But if I'm not interested in it myself, if I wouldn't go out as a knife guy and buy them, even if they're inexpensive, why do I want to showcase them to an audience that I consider friends? I realize a lot of the stuff I show's wacky, but a lot of it, especially when I was buying knives, they were all things that I was buying in my collection. So it was easy for me to get excited and talk about them. And I think I'm giving sound advice based on what I like, right? Um, it's just one of those things. Oh, Craig, I have built back in 2021, I built the ultimate pedal board. I used to gig for years, but I always played through, this will date me, multi-effects processors, rarely stomp boards. But I'm a deadhead and a jam band kind of guy, and I built the ultimate Jerry Garcia rig. I've always had a Fender Blues Deluxe, but I built a pedal board that costs well more than I'd ever admit. That's why I say divorces are worth it. Take care, Todd. But it was easy for me to, and I haven't played it in over a year. I play my guitars daily, but I haven't used that pedal board. It's boxed up. It's ready. It's just as new as it was when I put it in there. But knives are a people thing. I think that's what excites me about them. Um, absolutely, absolutely. Um, and unfortunately, there's some creators, I don't know them by their names, who are under the impression that that's just the price you pay for offering giveaways. And I'll look at that person who I don't know their name, I can't even think of it, but is trying to grow their channel for the wrong reasons, not looking out for the people that give them the time of the day to watch their content or visit with them at 1:20 on a Wednesday night. Um, Shame on them. I mean, to me, that's just ridiculous. It's again, I would probably be much more lucrative if I threw my morals out the window, but I'm not about that. Um, if I tell you on a review that, where did I put my I think I've got it in another case. The Volsteed Talosaurus, which has that where'd I put I thought I had it. But anyway, it has a little thumb disc. It's probably one of the best budget knives. I think it's $42, maybe 72. I forget. I'm bad about prices. But I'd recommend it to my mom. So if I do a video about it and talk about it being what I think might be one of the best budget knives of the year, there is no budget knife of the year. There is no best this, best that, because we're all looking for something slightly different, whether it speaks to us or it fits our use case or we like the freaking color of it. Whatever the case is, I always talk about top 5 for me, and hopefully that resonates with other people, or I get other people in the comments, which unfortunately I don't read comments much, that disagree with me because I want a dialogue at least to take place because of something that I've said, as long as it's valuable. I don't ever want to say things to stir a pot just for engagement and comments. I'm not about that. Um, I don't think there are a lot that are, but I think it's a good business plan. And unfortunately, for 15 years, I've run business plans. The reason I started YouTube on top of the Knife Lives thing, it just kind of bellied up to it, is I had a client, a university, they're a community college, but a big community college that's growing here in North Alabama, needed to understand how to understand their YouTube analytics and how to understand, at the time they were called insights, but they were trying to look at how to set events up, which you can't in YouTube. And I had to go in and start my short channel, which I learned after about 90 days that I was never getting the data into my YouTube analytics to make any kind of judgment call. That's when I had to start doing spoken word content. But it was all to learn about that. And then once I learned about what I know, what of my videos currently get the most views, fixed blades, usually 4 or 5 at a time. People seem to love them. I don't love making them. I've done them. I feel like I need more fixed blades. I try to mix them up because I'm having to look at my collection differently. But if I was all about clicks, I'd be talking about people who I honestly think should be called out at one stage or another. Um, I'm not the guy to do that. I, you know, people in glass houses don't throw stones, but I could drama dump about all kinds of shit that I'm privy to that I don't think is positive. I don't think it's going to change any behavior. I don't think it does anything but artificially make me not only a target, but get me traffic and clicks. Don't want it. Not interested in it. What I hope to do is get stronger relationships with the makers that I like, because I've only approached I get emails like everybody, and I don't even read them. I leave a lot of them unread. But what I do, watch hours are much more important. I mean, watching videos, and I realize that my views are probably down, not only because of my shorts audience, because I'm not doing something right. I'm not jaded and thinking, oh, I'm shadow banned. No, I'm making shitty content. I'm doing something that's not resonating with the people I want to reach. I'm not willing to pivot in midstream because I know that digital channels take a while to actually populate, and that's kind of an internal, but it's also an external term. Um, so I'm not discouraged by it, but it's kind of a bummer, especially when you see people like G-Ball coming out of the gate with 12, 1,300 views. And there's a lot. One of the things coming into YouTube is an A/B thumbnail tester. You wouldn't believe, because I don't think it affected me, but maybe subconsciously it did. The littlest tweak in colors of a thumbnail can make a difference in how many views you get. And the YouTube algorithm is very particular to how many views you get, I think within the first hour, 2 hours. So if you release your video, and we all have data in our analytics, whether it's true or not, who knows? I think we're in a matrix anyway. But when you look at that, it shows when your audience is most likely to be on time or online. I do not know. I do it in the morning because that's when I would want to watch content, was when I was getting ready for work. I finally pulled back from 8 o'clock because of my videos would die. I do them at 9. They seem to do a little better. On the weekends, I've released them at 10, and there's something to that. I notice a lot of people releasing at the middle of the day. I need to talk to Zach and JB and see if they've figured anything out there. But I think there's a lot to be said for when you release it to get the views, but views are important. My goal is, and my karma tells me, and my gut tells me, if I stay consistent, if I stay credible, if I stay interesting, if I make my content better, it'll organically grow. And that's the only thing I've ever wanted it to do, is be organic, right? Because to me, it's fun. It's about the people, it's about the knives, it's about really having somebody who shares the same totally unrealistic wackadoodle excitement for sharp and pointy shit. You know? I mean, to me, it's really fascinating. And I think it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. It definitely started as a knife thing. I can't remember which one of MCs or could it have been Shabazz, or could it have even been Lacey, "Where have you been, my darling Dicey?" whose first video made me think that's kind of cool. And from there, I'd watched Blade HQ, which was Zach and Ben, and I bought my first CEO CRKT, which was a great knife, but boring. You know, I wouldn't buy one now. But man, it was a gateway drug, dude. I mean, it was like, uh-oh. That's why I think anything anybody gets into, that's why I don't think we should ever look down on somebody's carry, look down on what they buy, gas station knife or not. We all start somewhere. I will fight till the day I die. And I caught so much hate for it. And to be honest with you, I kind of thrived on it because I'm a nice guy. And it's really humbling for me to get piled on with a lot of hate, especially a lot of football player type patriotic hate, which I'm as patriotic as the next guy. But it was the Ethan Grow 225, which was my fake Strider, which I bought is originally to shit on it. And it came in, and I'll be damned if it wasn't awesome. It was D2. I was like, damn, this thing is nice. So I did a video, talked about it in Kevin's live stream, hurt his feelings because I get both sides of it. I'm not defending that knife. I don't know the relationship when Strider broke up. If they didn't go to Ethan Grow or Ethan Grow come to them and say, "Hey, we're going to do something for $79. We'll pay you 5%." Does that bother you? No, let's just keep it on the hush hush. Okay. I don't know. I'm just a consumer. I didn't buy it on AliExpress. So anyway, I started really liking the form. I was never a Strider guy. So I picked up a PT207, a little Protect Strider, because of that Ethan Grow EF225, which is SMF size. It's huge. I didn't feel warm and fuzzy about it. I was getting a lot of hate about it. Didn't really care because when you get to be my age, and guys, if I can urge anybody younger than me, anything, any word of wisdom, they say, "John, what do you wish you knew younger when you were younger?" What other people think of you means absolutely fucking nothing. They're going to have their opinion regardless. Be you, be you the best that you can be. Try to be better tomorrow than today. You're not always going to be able to live up to that. It's all right. But, everybody's different. So, anyway, I bought this. And then I said, I'm going to jump into this EF 225 again. I'm gonna do a breakdown on it because I bet you if I take it apart, I'm gonna see how they can offer it for so cheap. I'm not getting into the whole slave labor thing. I don't go there because I don't live there, right? I don't walk into the facilities. I don't see it. I'm just not about it. Take it apart. Put in skiff double row bearings because they fit perfectly. It's one of the best made knives. And I even told Scotch and Things, which was blasphemy because he's a huge Strider fan. Um, he's a huge Strider fan, and he was looking for a knife to get his workers. He likes to get them about an $80, $90, $100 knife. I was like, dude, get him an Ethan Grow 225. You say they beat the heck out of it. It's D2, built just like a Strider. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. And they'll find out if they like it or not. Because I didn't like this form. This knife never spoke to me. The Holy Trinity of knives, when I got into it, which my understanding is Hinderer, Strider, Chris Reeves. I'm sure everybody has a different Holy Trinity. I never liked any of those knives. None of them. I like them all now. I don't know why. But anyway, I started out with this because of the EF225. Then I picked up in a trade this. Then I gave away on a Friday Night Flicks the EF225 with full disclosure. I caught a lot of shit for this knife. I don't want you to catch a lot of shit for this knife. I'm giving it away. It's a good knife. If you don't like it, feel free to film yourself throwing it off a cliff. I'm not smart enough to know if there was any deal there. If they had some kind of backdoor agreement, we don't care. Give us 5%. What I don't know. I just saw it on Amazon, right? I'm a consumer. And if you go to Amazon now, there's a lot worse offenders than that. But then I went and actually got a Strider. I would have never, ever gotten a Strider. Give me a second, guys. I've got to do something real quick. Then I've got a possum out front. I've got to do something real quick. Be right back. Sorry about that, kids. I've got a juvenile possum that comes up, and he'd evidently been over there eating, and he'd finished his little pile of cat food, and he was sitting there at the door, and he had the saddest look, and he's just looking at me. He can see me here because I'm under lights. So I went out there. Of course, he ran off. He waddles off. They're like little furry hippopotamus, little miniature hippopotamus. They've got the cutest feet. And he waddled off. And so I put some more food out there, and he'll be back probably in 30 minutes or so. But guys, we have been going late. We have been going fun. I am sorry to go unannounced tonight. I agree, Marcel. You take them apart, and I'll tell you guys, I cannot say anything bad about the F and Grow EF225. Yes, it looks like a complete copy. I'm 100% against that. I don't know what happened in the Strider breakup, who owns what, who does what, who licenses what. I just don't know, and I try to police and help people in the community that come to me that I know have been taken advantage of, or they're having a disagreement with another community member. And I think it's an oversight or it's miscommunication, which a lot of our issues. That's why I say choose debate, not hate. Debate, a lot of times, debate's not shouting. Debate is discussing and talking. And a lot of people don't want to discuss and talk. And I get that. Everybody's set in their ways. But I think all of us, and I'm an old asshole, and I think I can learn a lot on totally different views that I have just by listening. I don't ever have to give the orator the win to say, you've changed my mind. But over time, even if it doesn't change my mind, it might it might open my mind. And that's what I always say. That's my biggest thing. Open minds are great. And I'm lucky enough to say that I was a veteran of the psychedelic wars and I got to open my mind in a very big way. And it kept me from being a avid hunter after I turned teenager. I used to hunt, hunt, hunt. I have no desire. I'd rather feed animals than shoot animals. I'll eat them. I'm not a vegetarian, but maybe I'm lazy that way. But I think if everybody's open minded, the knife you like today, if you stay on this hike, you might like a knife like me that you swore you'd never get. I would have bet 2.5 years ago so much money that I'd never own a slip joint, that I'd never be interested. And the fact that I got one is a lot, but the fact that I really fell in for a while and was just like, yes. And I still appreciate them. When I was at Blade Show looking at some of the handmade ones, they're $1,700. I'm not going to buy a double blade $1,700 knife. It's worth every penny. It's hand forged Damascus. It's got some really well antique bone or really exotic material, and it's just done wonderfully. It's done by hand the old way, and it's done by younger people. I love to see the trade carried on. But that's what the community is all about, guys. It's about you. It's about the person next to you. It's about Crispy Critter. It's about Marsault. It's about Barry. It's about Zach. Um, and everybody just continue to help out people in your own way. That can be giving somebody a positive thought. You don't have to say a word. You can just give them a positive thought. Um, you can also call out turd burglars. I think I know there's a way to pull the wool off this one person's eyes. I just don't know how to make it effective. I really don't think they'll care. I don't think they have any ties to the community. Where if I got caught doing something, um, let's say I got arrested for some crazy offense and it made news, right? And I'm not talking something violent, but something embarrassing. I don't want to have a bad, and I'm sure I do. Everybody's got haters, but I don't want to have people thinking ill of me in the community. To me, my reputation's all I have, right? My integrity is all I have. I think when you get people that are in it to win it at all costs, they don't have integrity. So all they really learn from are just need to smack a little meat off their skeleton. I really think a well placed upper hook from somebody smaller than you that you're not expecting, especially after you've been left kicked in your right leg, your right knee. So you're bending over to try to figure out why your knee's bending backwards because it was hyperextended and you get hit with an uppercut. There's a lot, and I hate to sound even that I have that in my being, but for people who take from people in our community that are kind night after night, calling them out's too good. Door jam sexual abuse is not a crime. And I like to walk up and go, man, I heard you. And before they say anything, you just straight kick them right in the kneecap. You pick the right or the left. It doesn't matter. Their knee's going to go backwards. They're going to bend over in pain, and you can hit them in the jaw. And Mike Tyson, you might not be able to knock out, but most people, if you catch them right between where their jaw and their skull attaches, you are going to turn their lights off. And then you can be a man and you can walk away and you can write a nasty note and put it on them. or you can sit there and you can stomp them out. You know, it's all it's just I don't have patience for it. I don't wanna hurt anyone who's in the chats, and I know that they're not nearly as many in Friday Night Flicks, and I'm gonna try to talk about it in Friday Night Flicks the same way that if you hear me give blanket statements, I don't want it to think it's coming to any of you guys, because you guys are our people. We are a tribe. But they're people that take advantage of the tribe, right? They're not bad people. They're just not vested. They don't care about the individuals in the tribe. They care about what they can get out of the tribe. I don't got room for that, guys. I love each and every one of you. I'm sorry we didn't go for 3 hours. I thought we would, but it's almost 2. I love you all so much. I hope we hang Friday night. Y'all stay cool, stay sweet, stay kind to each other, and please choose debate, not hate. I love y'all. Peace.